Your dog has felt ignored before, not abandoned, not unloved, just emotionally invisible for a moment. And the strange part is, they probably noticed it far more deeply than you think. Most people imagine ignoring a dog as something obvious, leaving them outside for hours, refusing attention completely, being cruel. But for dogs, emotional distance can feel much smaller and much quieter than that. Sometimes it happens while you are sitting only a few feet away from them, scrolling on your phone while they stare at you from the floor, coming home tired and walking past them without eye contact, saying later over and over while they wait for a moment of connection that never fully comes. To humans, these moments feel small, temporary, forgettable. To your dog, they can feel emotionally confusing, because your dog does not measure love the way humans do. They do not calculate how much money you spend on them or remember that you bought expensive toys last month. Dogs experience relationships through attention, presence, routine, emotional energy, and social interaction happening right now in the moment. And when those things suddenly change, they notice almost immediately, especially from the human they are most bonded to. Dogs evolved alongside humans for thousands of years, not just as animals living nearby, but as emotional observers deeply integrated into human social behavior. Their survival gradually became linked to understanding human attention, human expressions, human tone changes, human patterns, human approval. Over time, dogs became incredibly sensitive to social connection cues. And one of the strongest cues in their world is attention. Attention tells a dog safety exists. Attention tells a dog connection is stable. Attention tells a dog they still matter inside the social group. Which means when attention suddenly disappears, even briefly, something shifts inside them. You can actually observe this in subtle, everyday behavior. Imagine your dog bringing you a toy while you are focused on your laptop. At first they wait patiently. Then they move closer. Then they place the toy directly near you. Maybe they paw your leg softly. Maybe they stare. Maybe they sigh and lie down nearby without leaving the room. That behavior is not random. Your dog is trying to re-establish social engagement. And what makes this fascinating is that dogs often continue trying long after another animal would give up. Wolves, for example, do not naturally seek prolonged emotional validation from humans. Dogs do, because dogs evolved specifically around maintaining human connection. Some behavioral researchers describe dogs almost like emotional partnership animals rather than simple domesticated pets. Their brains became unusually responsive to human social signals compared to most species. That includes eye contact, vocal tone, body posture, facial expression, and patterns of interaction. Which means your attention is not just pleasant to them, it is emotionally regulating. This is why many dogs physically follow their owners from room to room, even when nothing exciting is happening. They are not always seeking entertainment. Often they are maintaining emotional proximity, staying connected to the emotional center of their world, you. And when that center becomes emotionally unavailable, even temporarily, dogs react in ways most owners misunderstand. Some dogs become quieter. Some become more clingy. Some suddenly act hyper or destructive. Some pretend not to care at all while secretly monitoring you constantly from a distance. Different personalities express emotional insecurity differently. But underneath many of those behaviors is the same question. Are we still connected? One of the most revealing experiments involving dogs and human attention looked at how dogs reacted when owners deliberately ignored them during interaction attempts. Researchers found that many dogs increased attention-seeking behaviors significantly. They nudged more, pawed more, moved into direct visual range, vocalized softly, attempted physical contact, not because they were manipulative, because social disconnection creates stress, especially with attachment figures. Humans often forget that for dogs, you are not just family. You are structure, routine, emotional orientation, safety. When puppies are young, they naturally look toward caregivers for regulation. Human babies do something similar. When uncertain, they check the caregiver's face, tone, presence. Dogs continue versions of this behavior throughout life with bonded humans. That means your reactions shape their emotional environment constantly. Even silence communicates something, and dogs are incredibly good at detecting emotional absence. This becomes especially noticeable in modern life because humans are physically present more than emotionally present. A dog may spend an entire evening beside their owner while the owner's attention remains absorbed by screens, stress, work, or mental exhaustion. From the dog's perspective, something feels incomplete. You are there, but not fully there. And dogs notice that difference more than people realize. Many owners experience moments where their dog suddenly pushes between them and a phone or rests their head directly onto a keyboard or climbs closer while they work. People often laugh at this behavior, calling the dog jealous or dramatic. But emotionally, the behavior makes sense. Your dog is trying to reconnect with your awareness. To them, attention is interaction. Interaction is bonding. Bonding is emotional security. And when bonding weakens repeatedly, dogs can begin adapting their behavior around anticipated emotional distance. This is where things become surprisingly emotional. Some dogs stop asking for attention as often after repeated rejection, not because they stopped caring, because they learned the attempt might not work. Owners sometimes interpret this as the dog becoming independent or calmer with age. Sometimes that is true, but sometimes the dog simply adjusted expectations around emotional access. That quietness can hide disappointment, especially in highly social breeds like golden retrievers, Labradors, border collies, poodles, Australian shepherds, and many companion-focused breeds developed specifically for close human interaction. These dogs do not just enjoy connection. They psychologically depend on it more heavily. And yet, dogs are remarkably forgiving creatures. That is one of the most heartbreaking parts. Even after being ignored repeatedly, most dogs continue trying to reconnect with incredible patience. They wait beside doors, sleep nearby, watch owners quietly, follow routines faithfully. They keep offering opportunities for interaction again and again. Because attachment remains stronger than frustration. Your dog does not wake up trying to judge you. They wake up hoping to connect with you. And interestingly, ignoring affects dogs differently depending on the emotional relationship already established. A securely bonded dog may tolerate temporary emotional distance far better than a dog already struggling with anxiety or inconsistent attention patterns. Dogs with strong emotional security often recover quickly after brief neglect because the larger relationship still feels stable. But inconsistent emotional engagement can create confusion over time, especially when attention becomes unpredictable. One day affectionate, one day distant, one day playful, one day emotionally unavailable. Dogs thrive on emotional predictability far more than humans usually understand. Not because they need perfection, because stability reduces uncertainty. And uncertainty creates stress responses in social animals. You can sometimes see this stress in very small behaviors. A dog checking your face repeatedly, waiting outside closed doors longer than usual, watching you carefully while remaining unusually still. bringing toys without playing, sleeping closer after emotionally distant days. These behaviors are not always dramatic enough for humans to notice consciously, but they often reflect attempts to maintain emotional connection. And here is something many people never consider. Dogs do not fully understand why they are being ignored. Humans can explain emotional distance to each other. We understand concepts like work stress, mental exhaustion, distraction, anxiety, grief, overstimulation. Dogs do not process those abstract explanations. They only experience behavioral changes. Less eye contact, less touch, less engagement, less response. So from their perspective, the emotional shift itself becomes the reality, not the reason behind it. And that uncertainty can make small changes feel emotionally important, especially because dogs spend enormous amounts of time studying human behavior patterns. Your dog knows your routines better than most humans do. They notice tiny timing differences, different footsteps, different energy levels, different moods entering rooms. So when interaction patterns suddenly weaken, they notice quickly, sometimes before you even realize your behavior changed. This is why dogs often react strongly during emotionally difficult periods in human lives. Depression, burnout, stress, grief, emotional withdrawal. These states subtly alter social interaction frequency and emotional availability. And dogs adapt around those changes. Some become extra affectionate. Some become protective. Some become anxious. Some become unusually calm and observant. They are responding to emotional atmosphere shifts the only way they know how, through proximity and behavior. There is also growing evidence that physical interaction itself matters deeply to dogs emotionally. Gentle touch, eye contact, calm vocal engagement, and shared attention can increase oxytocin activity in both dogs and humans. Oxytocin is heavily associated with bonding, trust, attachment, and emotional regulation, which means connection is not just emotionally meaningful. It is biologically meaningful for both of you. This is part of why simple moments matter so much to dogs. Looking at them when they enter the room, greeting them enthusiastically, touching them gently while passing by, speaking to them during daily routines, inviting them into shared moments instead of always existing around them passively. These interactions may seem ordinary to humans, but for dogs, they reinforce emotional belonging constantly. And belonging is everything to social animals. Sometimes people assume dogs only care about food, walks, or play. Those things matter, of course, but many dogs would choose emotional closeness over stimulation surprisingly often. There have been situations where dogs ignored toys entirely just to remain near emotionally important humans. Elderly dogs especially often prioritize quiet companionship over excitement. Just being near you becomes enough, because presence itself has emotional value. And perhaps that is why dogs can affect humans so deeply too. They offer a kind of attention modern humans rarely experience anymore. Undivided attention. They watch you when you speak. They notice your arrival instantly. They recognize your emotional shifts. They stay near you during bad days without demanding explanations. They care about your presence more than your performance. And ironically, humans sometimes fail to return that same level of awareness. Not intentionally. Modern life pulls human attention in thousands of directions constantly. Notifications, stress, schedules, exhaustion, digital distraction, mental overload. Most people are not ignoring their dogs because they do not love them. They are overwhelmed. But dogs do not measure intention. They experience interaction. That is why even very loving owners can accidentally create emotional distance without realizing it. And usually, the solution is not something huge, not expensive, not complicated. Often your dog simply wants moments of genuine connection. Eye contact, attention, acknowledgement, presence. A few uninterrupted minutes where they feel emotionally included in your world again. Sometimes the smallest actions matter most. Calling their name warmly, sitting beside them on the floor, letting them rest near you without distraction, looking at them while they look at you. Dogs understand emotional energy more than language itself. And when they feel emotionally seen again, you can often watch their entire behavior soften almost instantly. Tail movement changes, eyes relax, body posture loosens, breathing slows. They settle because connection returned. And maybe that is the saddest part about ignoring a dog. Not that they become angry, not that they stop loving you, but that many continue loving quietly while waiting for emotional reconnection. Still watching you from across the room, still hoping you notice them, still following you gently through the house, still believing you are their person even on emotionally distant days. Your dog does not need perfection from you. They do not expect endless entertainment. They do not care whether you are successful, attractive, productive, or socially important. But they do notice presence. They notice warmth. They notice emotional availability. And in their own silent way, they spend their entire lives trying to stay emotionally close to you. Which means something very simple becomes true. To your dog, being noticed by you matters far more than most humans will ever fully understand.